unexpected power shift. Everyone panics when family visits, but you don't anymore. Everyone panics when family visits. The house gets tense. The mind starts racing. Who will cook? Who will clean? Who will keep the peace? But not you. Not anymore. Because something changed inside you. You realize that panic comes from believing everything depends on you. And that belief was never true. You don't need to rush. You don't need to brace yourself. You don't need to prepare for emotional storms. You stay calm because calm is not weakness. Calm is control. Let me tell you something. When you stop reacting, people notice. When you don't rush to fix everything, the room feels different. You're not cold, you're steady. And that steadiness shifts the balance before anyone even speaks. When did their arrival become your responsibility? Pause for a moment and think about this. When did their arrival become your job? Who decided you were the planner, the buffer, the emotional manager? Was it written somewhere, or did it slowly happen because you were capable, because you cared, because you didn't want conflict? Many people don't notice the moment they accept silent duties. They just start doing them. And then one day, they wonder why they feel tired before the guests even arrive. If you're honest, no one officially assigned you this role. You stepped into it because it felt easier than watching things fall apart. But easy in the moment often becomes heavy over time. The invisible load you've been carrying without question. There's a weight you've been carrying that no one talks about. The mental list, the emotional scanning, the constant thinking ahead. Who might get upset? Who needs attention? Who needs smoothing over? This is the work no one sees. And because it's unseen, it often goes unnoticed. You didn't complain. You just handled it. But carrying everything quietly doesn't make you strong forever. It makes you tired, not loud tired, deep tired. The kind that sits in your chest. Recognizing this load is not blaming anyone. It's finally being honest with yourself. Stepping back isn't quitting. It's leadership. Stepping back is not giving up. It's choosing a different role. Real leadership is not doing everything. It's knowing when not to. Think about it. If one person always fills every gap, others never. Step forward. When you step back, you don't leave chaos. You create space. Space for others to show up. Space for responsibility to move where it belongs. Let me say this clearly. You don't disappear. You reposition. And that shift changes how people respond. To you, quiet confidence speaks louder than constant effort. Overfunctioning keeps you trapped. Delegation sets you free. Doing too much can feel helpful, but it keeps you stuck. Overfunctioning traps you in a cycle where you're needed for everything and rested for nothing. Delegation is not dumping work. It's releasing control. It's saying, this does not require my energy anymore. At first it feels strange. You might want to jump back in. But freedom always feels uncomfortable before it feels normal. When you let go of tasks that aren't yours, you make room for yourself. And that space matters more than you think. You don't lose control when you step back. You reveal who has it. Here's the truth most people miss. When you step back, you don't lose control. You reveal where control actually belongs. If things fall apart, it shows who is holding them together. If things continue, it shows growth. Either way, you gain clarity. You stop guessing. You stop carrying what was never meant to be yours alone. And in that clarity, you stand grounded, calm, unshaken, because control was never about doing everything. It was about knowing when to stop, why you were trained to carry it all somewhere along the way. Peace became your job somewhere along the way. You learned a quiet lesson. Peace depended on you. If things felt tense, you fixed it. If voices rose, you softened them. If plans fell apart, you filled the gap. No one sat you down and taught this. You learned it by watching, by noticing who kept things calm and who got blamed when things broke. So you became the calm one, not because it was fair, but because it worked. This isn't about fault. It's about awareness. When peace becomes your job, rest starts to feel earned instead of natural. And that belief slowly shapes every choice. You make dot when compliance was mistaken for love and harmony at some point. Saying yes felt like love. Agreeing felt like safety. You noticed that when you went along, things stayed quiet. When you didn't, tension followed. So you adapted. You adjusted. You told yourself it was easier this way. Over time, that habit became your role. You weren't choosing anymore. You were reacting. Survival doesn't always look dramatic. Sometimes it looks polite. Sometimes it smiles and nods. And before you know it, harmony is built on your silence. Not shared care. You became the glue until the glue started cracking you. Became the glue holding everything together. Plans, emotions, relationships. If something broke, you patched it. If someone drifted, you pulled them back. Glue works well for a while, but glue was never meant to carry weight forever. Cracks don't appear overnight. They show up as tired mornings, short patience, quiet anger. When the glue starts cracking, it's not failure. It's a signal that you were never meant to be the only thing keeping everything in place. With silent expectations, no one ever spoke out loud. No one said it out loud. But the pattern was clear. You would host the feelings. You would smooth the conflict. You would notice what others missed. This kind of work doesn't come with thanks because people stop seeing it. They just expect it. You become the default. The fixer, the one who handles it. And when something goes wrong, the silence gets loud because suddenly your absence is felt. These expectations grew quietly, but their weight is heavy. When did helping turn into an unpaid full-time role? Ask yourself this honestly. When did helping stop being a choice and start being required? When did support turn into duty? Helping is powerful when it's free. It becomes draining when it's assumed. You weren't helping anymore. You were maintaining. Holding systems together that never learned to stand on their own. That's not kindness. That's overgiving. And overgiving always asks for more while giving less back. The hidden cost of always stepping up has a price. The body feels it. The mind carries it. You start to lose parts of yourself without noticing. Joy becomes rare. Resentment creeps in quietly. You wonder when your needs move to the bottom of the list. This isn't weakness, it's wear. And wear is a message saying something has to change. Not later, now. The moment you stop explaining yourself, the more you explain, the more permission you hand out. Every explanation opens a door. The more you explain, the more people feel invited to judge, adjust, or push back. You think clarity will bring peace, but often it brings debate. You don't need a long story to stand your ground. Over-explaining trains others to wait for reasons, instead of respecting limits. Let me tell you something. A calm no doesn't need a speech. It needs steadiness. Defensive energy versus grounded certainty. There's a difference people feel right away. Defensive energy is rushed. It sounds tense. Grounded certainty is quiet. It doesn't rush. It doesn't chase agreement. One tries to prove. The other simply stands. When you stop defending yourself, the room changes. People may not like it, but they feel it. Calm carries weight without raising its voice. Short sentences. Calm tone. Final decisions. This is where things shift. You stop explaining and start stating. Short sentences. Calm tone. Final decisions. No extra words. No emotional noise. This isn't cold. It's clear. You don't owe long answers for basic choices. Clear words create clear limits. And clear limits create peace. You don't argue. You decide. Arguing keeps you stuck in circles. Deciding moves you forward. You don't need to win a debate to choose. Rest. You don't need agreement to step back. Decisions close doors that arguments keep open. When you decide, you stop feeding tension, and tension fades when it's no longer fed. You don't convince. You move. Convincing looks outward. Moving looks forward. You don't wait for comfort to act. You act, and comfort catches up later. Life changes when action replaces explanation. Quiet movement speaks louder than long talks ever could. What if you didn't need approval to rest? What if rest wasn't something you earned? What if silence wasn't rude? What if stepping back didn't require permission? These questions feel unsettling because they challenge old rules. But freedom often begins with a question that doesn't have an easy answer. I'm on vacation is not a joke, it's a boundary. I'm on vacation means more than time off. This isn't about days on a calendar. It's about stepping out of roles that drain you. Being on vacation means your mind rests, your emotions settle, your energy stays with you. It's not escape, it's care. When you say it, you're not joking. You're choosing space. Rest is not laziness, it's emotional maintenance. Rest keeps you steady. It clears your thoughts, it protects your energy. Without rest, even small things feel heavy. With rest, you respond instead of react. This isn't about doing nothing. It's about doing less of what drains you and more of what keeps you whole. You don't apologize for locking your door at night. You lock your door to stay safe. You don't explain it. You don't feel bad about it. Boundaries work the same way. They protect what matters. You don't apologize for protection. You practice. Why guilt shows up the moment you choose yourself. Guilt shows up fast. It whispers that you're selfish, that you're letting people down. But guilt is often just fear dressed up as concern. Fear of being seen differently. Fear of change. Feeling guilt doesn't mean you're wrong. It means you're growing. Boundaries aren't punishment. They're structure. Boundaries don't push people away. They show where things stand. Structure brings calm. It tells others what to expect and tells you what you will no longer carry. Firm doesn't mean harsh. It means clear. You are allowed to rest. You are allowed to step back. Say it until it settles. You are allowed to rest. You are allowed to step back. Peace doesn't need permission. It needs practice. And every time you choose it, life feels lighter, letting him lead without micromanaging the fear that if you don't do it, it won't be done right. There is a fear that lives quietly in many people. If I don't handle this, it will fall apart. If I don't step in, it won't be done right. This fear doesn't come from pride. It comes from worry, from past moments where things did go wrong, from times you had to clean up messes that weren't yours. So you learn to stay alert, to double check, to hover. But let me tell you something. Control born from fear keeps your hands full and your heart tense. It convinces you that rest is risky. And over time, that pressure becomes exhausting. Not because you can't handle it, but because you shouldn't have to. If you keep holding the steering wheel, no one learns to drive. Picture this clearly. If you keep holding the steering wheel, no one else learns to drive. They stay in the passenger seat, waiting for direction because you never let go. At first, it feels faster to just do it yourself. But years pass and nothing changes. You're still driving, still watching every turn, still tired. Letting go doesn't mean crashing the car. It means trusting others to learn. Mistakes may happen. Turns may be rough, but growth never comes from being controlled. It comes from being allowed to try. Leadership is direction, control is suffocation. There's a quiet difference between guiding and controlling. Guiding points the way and steps back. Control hovers and corrects every move. One builds confidence, the other drains it. When you guide, you trust that others can handle responsibility. When you control, you send a message that they can't. Letting someone lead doesn't make you smaller. It frees you from roles you were never meant to carry alone. True leadership gives space. Control takes it, what if imperfect effort beats perfect exhaustion? Ask yourself this honestly. What if imperfect effort is better than perfect exhaustion? What if things being done differently doesn't mean they're done wrong? Perfection costs energy. It costs peace. It costs time you never get back. Life doesn't need flawless moments. It needs sustainable ones. Letting others do things their way may feel uncomfortable, but it gives you something priceless in return. Relief. Why the transition feels uncomfortable before it feels free. The shift always feels awkward. When you stop stepping in, there's silence. Things take longer. Small mistakes show up, and your body wants to rush back in. This discomfort doesn't mean you made the wrong choice. It means patterns are changing. Freedom never arrives quietly. It shakes things first. Stay steady. Let the learning happen. Chaos doesn't last forever, but growth does. Not your task. Not your stress. Say it calmly. Not your task. Not your stress. Repeat it when your hands itch to take over. Repeat it when your mind starts planning for others. This isn't avoidance. It's balance. You are allowed to release what was never yours to manage alone. Watching without rescuing. The reflex to step in the moment things get messy. The moment something feels messy, your body reacts. You move closer. You offer help. You fix before anyone asks. This reflex was learned. It once kept things together. But now it keeps others from learning. Messy moments are teachers. When you step in too fast, the lesson disappears. Watching without rescuing feels strange at first. But growth needs space, not saving. Every rescue teaches dependence. Every time you rescue, you send a message. You say, I'll handle it for you. Over time, people stop trying. Not because they can't, but because they don't need to. Help feels kind in the moment, but it can weaken over time. Strength grows when people face small struggles and survive them. Stepping back isn't cruel. It's necessary. Emotional discipline is staying quiet when you want to speak. The hardest skill is silence. Staying quiet when you want to correct. Staying calm when you see things done differently. Emotional discipline isn't loud. It happens inside. You breathe. You wait. You allow space. This kind of strength doesn't look dramatic, but it changes everything. Short-term comfort costs. Long-term respect. Comfort feels good right away. Respect grows slowly. When you remove discomfort instantly, nothing changes. When you allow struggle, growth happens. Respect follows those who trust others to rise. Even when it's uncomfortable. Pause. Breathe. Let it unfold. Pause before stepping in. Breathe before speaking. Let it unfold before reacting. These simple actions create room. Room for learning. Room for responsibility. Room for change. What grows when you stop interfering? Ask yourself this. What grows when you stop interfering? Confidence grows, skill grows, balance grows. And slowly, so does peace. The respect that follows when you change the rules, when you change. The energy the room responds when you change how you show up. Everything around you shifts. You speak less, but stand firmer. You move slower, but with purpose. People feel this change before they understand it. Energy sets tone. And when your energy becomes calm and steady, others adjust to match it. Overgiving creates expectation presence. Creates respect. Overgiving teaches people to expect more. Presence teaches them to value you. When you stop filling every gap, your presence becomes noticeable. You don't need to do more to matter. Sometimes doing less speaks louder. When you stop bending, others adjust. If you stop bending, the system shifts. People find new ways. New rules form. New balance appears. What once depended on you learns to stand. This adjustment isn't instant, but it is real. Why backlash is part of every boundary upgrade. Backlash doesn't mean failure. It means change. Silence, confusion, or pushback often show up when old patterns break. This is normal. Stay steady. Change always feels uncomfortable before it feels stable. Resistance isn't rejection, it's recalibration restus. Doesn't mean you're wrong. It means others are adjusting. Let them. You don't need to fix their feelings. You need to hold your ground calmly. Respect follows consistency, not explanation. You don't need long talks. You need steady action. When your choices stay the same, people learn. Respect grows quietly, built on what you allow and what you don't. Choosing peace over performance when your worth was measured by how much you did. For a long time, your value was tied to effort. How much you handled, how many problems you solved, how often you showed up for everyone else. You learned that being useful kept things smooth, so you stayed busy, you stayed needed. But busyness slowly became a test of worth. If you slowed down, doubt crept in. If you rested, guilt followed. Let me tell you something. Worth was never meant to be earned through exhaustion. You mattered before you did anything. You still matter when you stop doing so much. Who are you when you stop proving? This question feels uncomfortable because it removes the role you hid behind. If you stop proving, who are you left with? Not the fixer, not the planner. Just you. Many people don't slow down because silence forces honesty, but inside that honesty is relief. You don't have to earn space. You don't have to justify rest. When proving ends, presence begins. And presence is enough. You're not an event manager, you're a human being. You were never meant to run every moment, to manage moods, to keep schedules tight and emotions. Calm, that's not living, that's managing. A human being needs pauses, needs quiet, needs moments without responsibility. When you treat yourself like a machine, you wear down. When you treat yourself like a person, you heal. Life works better when you stop running it like a task list. Emotional honesty begins when the applause stops, when no one is watching. Who are you? When there's no reaction, no praise, no response, what do you feel? Emotional honesty begins there, in the quiet. In moments where you admit you're tired, where you admit you want less noise and more calm. This honesty isn't dramatic. It's gentle, and it brings you back to yourself. Being liked is loud. Being respected is quiet. Being liked asks you to perform. Being respected allows you to rest. Loud approval fades quickly. Quiet respect stays. When you stop trying to be liked, your presence settles. You don't chase reactions. You hold your ground calmly, and people feel that shift. Peace is productive. Rest is not failure. Peace clears the mind. Rest steadies the body. Nothing good grows from constant strain. Choosing calm doesn't slow your life, it steadies it. And steady lives last. Stop a new tradition you're actually creating. This was never just about one holiday. This was never about one day or one visit. It was about patterns that repeated year after year. You showing up, you holding things together, you leaving tired. One moment of change can reveal how long something has been off. What you're doing now reaches beyond a single event. It touches how you live. One decision is enough to rewrite a pattern. Patterns don't break with big speeches. They break with one clear choice, one moment where you do something different. That's how change starts, quietly, firmly. One decision can stop years of repetition. And once it stops, something new begins. One boundary today becomes a legacy tomorrow. What you house now shapes what others expect later. One boundary today teaches a new normal tomorrow. This isn't just for you. It shows others how to treat you, how to treat themselves. Small choices echo longer than you think. This is bigger than a holiday. Say it again. This is bigger than a holiday. It's about how you show up in your life, how much you carry, how much you release. The day passes, the pattern stays. Choose the one that lets you breathe, People learn what to expect by watching what you allow. You don't need to explain your limits. People watch what you accept, what you step into, what you step away from. Over time, they learn. And that learning brings balance. What kind of life are you teaching people to expect from you? This question matters because expectations don't come from words. They come from patterns. Choose the life you want others to expect from you, one with space, one with calm, one with respect. Final declaration, calm, clear, and unavailable for chaos. This is the moment you stop negotiating. Your peace there comes a moment when you stop going back and forth. You stop weighing comfort against calm. You choose peace fully, not halfway, not someday. Now, this moment isn't loud. It's steady, and it changes everything. You don't announce it. You live it. You don't need to explain your shift. You show it and how you move and how you pause and how you don't rush anymore. Living it teaches more than words ever could. You step back. You breathe. You let go. You step back from what drains you. You breathe through discomfort. You let go of what was never yours to carry alone. This rhythm becomes your anchor. The rosin of you who overcarried versus the one who stands firm. One version of you is always tired, always alert, always needed. This new version stands firm, calm, clear, present, not harder, lighter. Carrying the weight, you remember how light you are. The weight was never you. It was what you carried for too long. When you set it down, you remember yourself, free, steady, whole, calm, grounded, unapologetically at peace. This is how you end. Not loud, not rushed, calm, grounded, at peace.